Yo, welcome back to another video. Now in today's video we have the brand new Obito's Vanguard familiar, the Secluded Kunai. This is an amazing familiar from what I've seen. I really like the passives that it has and he looks like a lot of fun to play around with. Going on to actually obtaining this familiar, you get this from the Solitary Ninja event where you just need to beat the Legend Act Stage 1 of Sand Village 5 times with Obito and Legendary Rarity units or lower. This is pretty simple. It does take a little while, but it is easy to complete. You just need to do this for 5 days and you'll get enough tokens to be able to purchase the familiar from the shop. Moving on to the familiar passive itself, his first passive is Transporting Shinobi. Selling this unit gives you no money back, but instead the next Obito placed is free and retains the upgrade of the previous. Things to note with this, that this has a 10-second cooldown, so you can't spam sell the Obito to retain his levels and upgrades. It doesn't state it in game yet, but it should be in the game eventually. Hopefully they do state it because it is a 10-second cooldown. It was confirmed by the devs and it also is on the wiki. Moving on to the second passive, it is Waking Up. Anytime Obito is placed down, burn all enemies in range for 30% of this unit's damage for 8 seconds. Pretty nice thing. It kind of works in line with Transporting Shinobi. Selling and placing him every 10 seconds, you can get an extra bit of burn stack, but I don't know if that's worth it when you can just kind of lower his SPA by 12% from him being placed down for like 4 waves, I think it is. Yeah, 4 waves. And then his last passive is Strength of Self. He gains 650% damage and 20% range. Overall, this looks like a pretty fun familiar to use. He is going to be very strong, which I'll showcase right now in game. We are in game now, so we are going to be showcasing Obito. So let's quickly check him out. On placement, he has 23k damage on placement for a Traitless unit, which is absolutely insane. I have got the other Vanguard familiar units in my team just to showcase the differences between each of the placement damages and just showing you how wild this placement damage is. If we go ahead and place down Gojo, he's at 11k damage. If we place down Gilgamesh, he is at 9.2k. If we place down Sukuna, he is at 11.3k. And if we place down our Tengen, he is at 13k damage. The only thing with Sukuna though is that since he has follow-up, you can pretty much double this and he is pretty much on par with Obito. Sukuna will still be better obviously because he does have a full AoE and everything and he's doing bleed on placement, whereas Obito just has this damage number. He doesn't actually have burn until upgrade 8. He does have burn when you do place him down in his AoE, but that is pretty much that. So far though, this is looking amazing. He has 23k damage on placement, making him a really solid familiar to pick up and use for the unit. Going on to each of the attacks, his second attack gets him to 50k, third attack 72k, fourth attack 98k, and then up to his max upgrade he's at 129k damage. This is great. Moving on to his DPS, he currently has 129k damage with just one of them placed, but if I just go ahead and place the other two just so we can see, he goes up to 131.9k damage. So let's go ahead and calculate this out. Have our trusty calculator. We go over to just check this out. So he is currently at 131k damage. There we go. And now we grab the burn damage that he does do every attack. Now we can add these two together. So he's doing 171k damage every single time he attacks at this current SPA, which we go ahead and divide this by 5.8. There you go. So he is doing it 29.5k damage with just him by himself without his SPA passive active. But let's go ahead and let some waves skip so we can see what his SPA is looking like when it is active. There you go. He's at 5.1 seconds. So let's go ahead and divide this by 5.1 seconds with his SPA fully activated. And he goes to 33.6k DPS, which is quite nice. And then what we can do from here is just times this by 3 for the placements. And he's doing 100k DPS with all 3 of these placed down at once, all maxed out, which is pretty nice. And it is looking good. Moving on to the Monarch version. On placement, he does 93k damage. He has 17.8k DPS on placement, which is pretty insane. But going over the attacks, his second attack is 201k damage. And then we go on to his third upgrade, which gets him 289k. And then if we go to his third attack, he's at 393k. And then we get to his max, he's at 517k damage. This is really good. Going back to the calculator to look at his DPS with this, we go ahead and 517k damage. And then we can times this by 30% for his burn, and then we can add this together. So he's doing 672k damage each time he attacks. We can then divide this by 5.2, and as you can see, he is doing 129k DPS. Now what we can do is we can do the same thing. Before we can skip waves to see what his DPS is like when we do have him at his highest SPA, which then we can go ahead and divide this by 4.6, and then we get 146k DPS, which is really insane. Like by himself, that is pretty good for a unit that you can place and move around for free. Like this is a really good unit and he's looking amazing. Overall, he is a really good unit. Now I would get into like showing some scaling that you can do for him, which would go insane, but I will leave that for a separate video because I do have something that I do want to do with him. But I'll just go in and say this, that Tengen is like one of his best friends to pair alongside Obito. Before we do end off this video, I just want to talk about how his free placement works. So we go ahead and place down our Obito, we go ahead and max him out. Now once we go ahead and sell this Obito and place him down again, you see he has a free placement. This has a 10-second cooldown though, so if I go ahead and sell and place again, you can see it says free placement is on cooldown. The nice thing is though, we haven't lost out on that money because once that 10 seconds actually has passed, we go ahead, the next Obito we do place after that 10 seconds has passed, we'll get that max upgrade. Very nice, very cool that they'd have done it like this. One thing to keep in mind though when it does come to this is that when you do want to move around your Obitos, if you have multiple maxed down, you want to make sure that you sell one and then place one. You don't want to sell multiple and then place multiple, because showcasing it this way, if I go ahead and sell this Obito and place him down, you can see he gets the max upgrade. I sell this one, I place him down. It's too early before he does get maxed out again, so we'll wait that 10 seconds so he does get maxed out. There you go. But now let me showcase the other way. This is the thing that you do not want to do because you'll actually be losing out money. We go ahead and sell both of our maxed Obitos. The next Obito we place will get maxed out, but the next one won't. This one now costs 2,000 to place down, and we have lost out on that free upgraded Obito. He just has disappeared now. As you can see, like it says free placement on cooldown, but that's a free placement for a placement Obito basically. So you can see this is something that you don't want to be doing. Just a little thing to keep in mind. And then the last thing before we end this off, with Obito being a unit that you can sell and place freely, basically this does mean that he can self-cleanse. There you go. You can see our Obito has been debuffed in both stats, but what we can do to just cleanse him basically is just sell him and replace him, and he will have all his stats back. So yeah, that is pretty much this video, just going over Obito. I think he's a really strong unit to have. Even his Traitless form is pretty good to get because like placement damage wise, he is amazing. One of the best units in the game for placement damage wise. Of course, there are units that are still better and do more on placement, but like for a newer player, like this is really good, guys. But yeah, I appreciate it if you guys have watched this far through the video. See ya.